What's up, guys? This is Martin here again. Today, I'd like to share with you an important subject that just came at the top of my head. And it's, what does sport teach you about life? Specifically, what does sport give you when you're on the field? What type of knowledge do you gain? What skills do you acquire? Since I'm sure a lot of you guys who are currently watching this have played sports at some point in your life. Maybe you're already an athlete yourself. Maybe you're trying to go the pro route. I've been an athlete myself as well. I used to play football or soccer for you American guys for a really, really long time. And the crazy thing is, when you're on the field, at the time when I was doing it, I wasn't realizing what it was teaching me. I wasn't aware of what I was acquiring at the time and how I was building myself or preparing myself for something even bigger. So I'm just going to give you guys a couple of lessons that I know hold a lot of relevance in today's world. So let's get to it. So lesson 1, skill beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. 100% of the time. And I'm a prime example of this. When I was a teenager, because I started playing football when I was taking it seriously when I was around 15, 16 years old. And I was terrible at football. I was the worst guy on the team. I was athletic, but I didn't have the skills. My technique was really, really poor. And, well, it just wasn't going for me. And I decided to change that. One day, I was like, fuck all this. I'm going to change. So I decided to buy a course online on how to become a better footballer. I think it was from Progressive Soccer, if I'm not mistaken. And, well, that course changed my life. Because over the years, when I started applying what the guy taught me, I went from being a shitty footballer to a really, really good footballer for someone my age. I didn't make it as a pro, sure, but I got so many opportunities. I played for really good teams at my age group, and I had guys on my team when I was in my very early days. I had guys who were playing football since they were 5 years old, 6 years old, and they used to run circles around me. But after that transition period, when I started to play with the guys I used to play with, who were at a really high level, I had no problems beating them. It was just like a normal thing for me. And, well, it's a pretty surreal experience when you guys get to experience that. But it's legit. Sure, I mean, there are guys out there who have better genetics, better predispositions to play an actual sport. Sure, it exists. Like a prime example I can give you guys is, look at someone like Shaquille O'Neal, who's arguably the greatest center to ever play the game. The guy was like, how tall was he? He was like 7 foot tall, 6'11", and just he was a massive guy. He was a beast on the field. But he was known for not working hard or being a little bit of a slack off. Imagine if he had the work ethic of a Kobe Bryant. He would be probably the best NBA player to ever play the game. Same thing can be said for, if you guys have watched football in the past, someone like Ronaldinho. Ronaldinho is arguably, he's one of the best players to ever play the game. He's a world-renowned footballer. But if he had the work ethic of someone like, let's say, Cristiano Ronaldo or Robert Lewandowski, he would be on a completely different level. Probably. I mean, I might be wrong here. But just looking at the talent that those two players had, the guys I've just talked about, they will probably reach much, much higher limits than what they've achieved. And this is not to shit on them, because it's just from my observations and from people that I know who have been in the game for a long time as well, who know them, they're telling me the same thing. And so, but to become good at something, you need to work hard and you need to have consistency. And let's flip the script. Let's look at someone like, let's say, Stephen Curry, who's probably the best three-point shooter ever. I mean, he's not particularly tall for a basketball player. I mean, he's like, what, 6'2", 6'3"? But the thing that makes him stand out from all the rest of the guys is that he's incredibly consistent. And he has that one attribute that makes him stand out from all the rest. It's his shooting ability and his finishing. And that makes him a world-class player and a Hall of Fame player. So, shout out to you, Steph. But like, to become good at anything, you need to practice. You need to be resilient. You need to put in the work. It's like that 10,000 hour example from Malcolm Gladwell. To become world-class at anything, you need to put in at least 10,000 hours. That was that was the conclusion that he came up to. In any field, sports, business, art, athletics, whatever field you want to think of, it pretty much applies to any field. Point number 2, lesson number 2, the work gets done regardless of the situation. And going back to my story, when I was a lot younger, when I was still in high school and I was trying to go pro as well, I used to wake up before school. I went to the gym before my bus. I was working out late at night while everyone else is partying and having fun and chasing girls and all that stuff. I don't regret it at all, because sport and just being a disciplined individual taught me so much about life. I don't regret anything of it. It was just a really good time. Because I knew at the time, what I was telling myself is that I know I'm investing my time into something that will have an exponential return. I'm investing into something that will give me something back. It has a return on it. While partying and doing all that stupid stuff that most people are doing every day doesn't hold any relevance. Which brings me to point number 3, which is highly correlated with this one, and it's the ability to work without motivation. And that's what separates the professionals from the rest. The pros get the work done every single day. It's an everyday thing for them. It's not a situation of, oh, I'm tired today, I'm not gonna work out for 3-4 days, I'm only gonna work when I feel like it. No, that type of mentality will not get you far. If you plan to do something, get it done right now. Like, the work gets done by top people now. They don't procrastinate, and that's one of the things I've learned as I gotten older. And that's not something you're born with. This has to be practiced consistently. It's like it's like discipline, basically. It's a muscle that if you practice it for a long enough time, you'll get better at it. Like, what do you think is the main reason why people fail in life? Is it due to their talent? Well, I don't think so. Is it their life circumstances? Probably not, especially if they live in first world countries. Is it their education level? No. Most likely it's due to their inability to stick to the plan, to be consistent with it. That's the main separator. I know this is very true in the sports world. The best athletes, the guys who are like literally elites in their sport, their relentlessness and their discipline towards their goal is insane. Like, a prime example of this is Kobe Bryant. He also used to work really hard. He used to wake up at like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. and work before his Lakers practice. I mean, that's just next level stuff. And the same thing can be said about fitness. The people who have the best looking bodies today and who are really, really fit, it's not by accident, guys. It's not due to their genetics, their money, their financial status, their life circumstances, especially if they live in first world countries. But it's mainly to their ability to stick with the plan and be consistent with it and do it for a long period of time. And the ability to learn from their mistakes. If something goes wrong, they just switch paths. They readjust again. Or in business. I mean, I've been in business for about 4 years now. I'm not that financially successful, so I don't want to be too much of a hypocrite, but I had moments in my business life where I was sending DMs, cold DMs to prospects in my car on 12 a.m., 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m. while everyone else I knew, or who were in my friend circle, they were partying, they were getting wasted, they were chasing girls. Well, I was doing the work. And not just me, but plenty of other entrepreneurs who are ridiculously successful. All of them can relate to this. They got the work done, no matter what happened. And what goes along with that is that you need to cut all the vices. That includes alcohol, drinking, smoking pot, smoking, chasing women, watching porn and all that stuff. It's just terrible for you. I mean, when you're an athlete who's operating at a really high level, you can't be doing these things. Otherwise, you're gonna lose that peak really quickly. And it's evident, and especially in athletes. You see this happening all the time. People who have gotten success really quickly at a really, really young age, but then they lose that discipline. They lose that momentum. They start partying, smoking, going with girls, getting addicted to things, and that's how their life turns into a down spiral. Next point, teamwork. That's another thing that sport teaches you about life, is that you can't do this alone. You need to have a proper team around you. Look at the famous Chicago Bulls dynasty. Michael Jordan had Scottie Pippen. He had Dennis Rodman, Luke Longley, Ron Harper, and Phil Jackson. They were all operating in symphony, and they just had an amazing relationship on the court. That's why they were such a good team. That's when talent and skill beats out everything. That's when talent and skill plus teamwork, it beats out everything. Same thing goes for that famous Real Madrid La Decima, when Cristiano Ronaldo was not the only player. Cristiano Ronaldo had Zinedine Zidane as his coach. He had Gareth Bale, another very good player. He had Karim Benzema, Luka Modric, Toni Kroos, Casemiro. I mean, that was a really, really good team. So you can't do this alone. You need to have a proper team behind you. Like this whole lone wolf thing is not real. You need to have the right types of people around you in order to be successful. It's like that one teamwork quote, which went something like, I don't want to have the best players. I want to have the players that play the best together, that have the best teamwork. Because with that team, you can win championships. And there's so much truth to it. It's crazy. Because a lot of times, it's not always the best team that wins in games. It's the team that's the most consistent and that has especially in team sports, it's the team that has the best teamwork, basically. Because the team that has the highest amount of selfish players, they're not going to win that much. Another lesson from sports. Sports teach you mental toughness like nothing else. Because when you're playing sports, or especially when it comes to the workouts, you gotta show up every single day. I mean, I remember it from my own journey. I used to wake up earlier, I used to stay up late, I used to work out outside or play football outside, regardless of the weather, even if it was windy, snowy, hot, cold. I didn't feel like it, I felt like it. Even if I had a good day, if I had a bad day, no, I showed up to do the work. And guys, if you just had that ability to stick with the plan, you would achieve such great things in life. But your biggest disadvantage or your biggest flaw is that you're not able to stick with the plan. Like, even if it's a very simple plan, like just walk every day for at least 30 minutes. If you are able to keep that plan all year round, you will get some results, right? It's really that simple. And that's like the irony of life. Because it's like this whole thing has been heavily, I wouldn't say manipulated, but it has given people a wrong type of mentality when it comes to success. Success is built on the little small things, inconvenient things that you don't want to do, but you do them regardless. That's how success is built. It's not built on this one event that you just do once or you do it twice and you're successful. No, you gotta show up every day. And on top of that, you gotta perform. You can't just show up and expect to get results. You also need to make sure that you put some effort into it. It reminds me of this thing that Tim Grover talked about in his book, Relentless. You have coolers, closers, and cleaners. A cooler is basically your average Joe. A guy who shows up to his job and just does the job like everyone else. A closer is the guy who is one of the best at what he does. But his biggest problem is that he's not consistent with his result. And it's usually, those guys usually perform the best, but it's only when the conditions are right for them. Whereas the cleaners, the guys who are at the elite level, they not only show up every day, but they perform and they get the result that they want. That's the biggest difference between all of them. And Tim had a point. He said that every society, every team, every organization needs all three types. You can't just have you can't just have a team full of cleaners and no closers or coolers. That wouldn't work. Or you can't have a team with only coolers but no cleaners and closers. They all work together. They all have a common path. Just like in team sports, all of you have the same mission. And you also got to know your role. You're a center back, you're not a forward. Okay? You're a goalkeeper, you're not a midfielder. You're a winger. You're not a fullback. Remember that. And every player needs to play to their designated role. Sports also teach you that one bad apple can ruin the whole team. It's like that, famous example where you have a group of apples, or you have a bowl full of apples, and one rotten apple can basically influence and poison all of the other apples. And this is such a true thing. Like, you guys, like, it goes back to, I had this one video that I recorded in the past where I talked about the power of influence and why it's important to surround yourself with the right people. That's the reason why. So go watch that video if you haven't watched it yet. I'm gonna put the link here somewhere. And the last thing I'm gonna tell you when it comes to sports is the player-spectator dichotomy. You have the choice to be the player in your life. You have the choice to write your own story. You either want to be the player or you want to be the spectator. The choice is yours. Imagine if you had the chance to drive one of your dream cars. You can either A, be the driver, sitting on the driver's seat, or B, you can take the passenger seat. And that's how you should approach your life. You are the captain of your ship. You decide where you want to sail. And nobody else can do it for you but you. And that's also a very, very powerful lesson. You gotta make sure that you do the work. That you take proactive choices in your life. Nobody else can do them for you but you. Sorry for the pauses. There's just a lot of mosquitoes here and they're trying to suck me. Anyway, I hope you guys found value in this video and have a good day.